Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tech Talk. My name is Elliot Baretz. I'm the National Director of the Microsoft Commercial Business Unit at Insight, and I am joined by my friend and colleague,
Jesse Anderson, responsible for offering development on Elliot's Microsoft Business Unit.
So Jesse, thanks for joining. I know that this is actually part two of our conversation here as it relates to Microsoft 365. In particular, what we're trying to do is have that conversation specifically around the small and mid-sized business and all the, very powerful features that it brings, and not just from the technology itself, but the financial flexibility. And both those are kind of big core components that we talked about in our first episode. And then that's sort of dovetailed into, I think, a really nice conversation in terms of, as Insight, what do we bring to our customers along with that technology, right? So, what we were saying in the first chat was one of the powerful elements of 365 is, as a small business, I can subscribe on a per seat, per month basis, and it helps me control my costs. It helps me control my budget. I don't have to pay up front for a lot of hardware in terms of servers or anything like that. I don't have to pay up front in terms of annual licenses. I pay for what I need. And that's very, today, very indicative of that software subscription experience, which 365 is really all about. One of the benefits of working with Insight in this world is that we can bundle in our support services along with that subscription. So, as a customer, not only will I get just the technology, but I'll also benefit from support services. And I know that we have lots of different flavors there, but maybe you could help us walk through it, right? So, what are some of the support services that come with that here at Insight?
Sure. So there are different ways that we approach that with the customer, but I'll just go, depending on a customer's need, we can make sure that we give them, their administrators, access 24/7 by 365 support. So they have an issue, that administrator can call in. If a customer has a business model where they do want their end users calling in, we support that as well, right? We can support end user support 24/7, 365. We also, again, Insight's an amazing company. The breadth of different services that we can provide to a customer is something I'm really proud of, and we've incorporated that into our offer as well, where if a customer desires, we can also sell to them in a way that in that monthly subscription, they're also getting the delivery of what we call, package services, things like security assessments and reviews, things like, Azure Jumpstarts, all these different elements that help a customer continue their cloud journey. These are things that sometimes can be an unexpected expense to customers. For us, we've built it in so that a customer pays a monthly price, and we can make sure that we can manage that roadmap for them. So, a wide array of services that we can offer.
Yeah. And again, in the small business segment, managing that budget is critical, and to be able to already incorporate the value of specific professional services within that budget, so you're not incurring outside expenses and still benefit from that value, is a huge win. I mean, in the end, a lot of this, support capability that's bundled within our offering around 365, it really is about helping our customers in this segment focus on their business, right? And I've had enough experience in the small business segment, even at some point having my own little small business, where I know that is, you wake up, think about that business. You go to sleep, you're thinking about that business. There's not a moment in your day where it's just not, you're consuming you. And half the time it's because it's your passion. You're in it because you're passionate about whatever it is. And there really isn't a lot of bandwidth to have a second job, meaning, be a technology person, right? There really isn't, you really need to have a trusted partner that's going to be able to pick up, that part of that scenario of your business so that you can focus on what you do best, whatever it is, whether it's, a restaurant or, landscaping or in the healthcare space, whatever it is, you want to focus on your business and have this trusted experience. And we can provide that. And we do for our customers, not just by providing that 365 subscription experience, but by bundling in all these support services, which is, I think, a really fascinating, powerful thing that we can do.
Yeah, I agree. And again, like I was saying, it's something I think that we're all really proud of. I know in our earlier conversation, we were talking about the value of Microsoft 365. I think that all Microsoft Cloud products, including Azure, right? I'll broaden it a little bit. That for us, one of the things that we have really thought about as we're doing this is making sure that we are helping customers maximize their return on investment, and that the offers that we're putting into market are helping alleviate them of the concerns of wasting any money in this move to the cloud, or helping them find efficiencies. And all of our offers are built around that, because we know, exactly to your point, small and medium businesses, they've got enough to worry about. They've got the value that they want to bring to their customers, whatever that is, and the ability to help them by being there to help them focus on in how they move to the cloud or consume in the cloud. And number two, how we can help them bring value to their organization. For example, that end user support, I'll start there. That's a massive sort of burden to be able to take off a customer for, and be able to bundle it in as part of just the monthly fee for using Office 365. And lastly, I'll say, like, in terms of being able to deliver those services, the more in-depth services, those are often unexpected expenses for a business, right? That are necessary. And by being able to bundle it in and spread it through these monthly payments, what we have found is we have the ability for those small and medium businesses continue to innovate and reach greater heights in terms of what the technology can do for them, without having to worry about what's around the next corner.
Yeah, agreed. And one of the things I think it's worth talking about in terms of the Insight charter and our relationship with Microsoft, I sort of think of it in two ways. One is, the Microsoft's, we call it stack. You and I have come to learn that expression. And if you let yourself think about it, Microsoft covers a lot of ground, right? And you start to talk about Azure, which is really this very big conversation. And some small business owners may be familiar with it, most won't. And really what that is the ability to provide infrastructure services within the cloud that work and complement what's going on with 365. And then it goes beyond that. And there's this wide array of technologies that to have a partner that can support and provide global level world-class expertise around all of that is pretty rare. And and it's important to know here at Insight, our substance lets us do that. So you're never going to bring a challenge to Insight around Microsoft technology that we can't help you with, because we are world-class. Not only are we world-class, we are Microsoft's, 2020 Partner of the Year in the United States, which is huge accomplishment, right? And it speaks to our ability to deliver excellence, to deliver that return on Microsoft investment, regardless of the size of the organization or what industry they're in. And again, so having that partnership is that depth. It's like having, Willie Mays on your bench in baseball. You could just pull it on,
right,
whenever you want.
Well, and I think the other thing is that, that at Insight, one of the other things that I think is really important to note too is that we're here to help demystify all of this stuff, right? Because it can be overwhelming and it can be confusing. And that sometimes that can be, sometimes that's what a customer needs, is somebody to come and ask the questions that, what is the starting point for all of this? And our offerings and the way we do this, it's meant to be that journey that we can help customers from any point of that conversation move to where they want to be in the cloud, right? And I think that that's another kind of core component of what we have seen the value that we have aimed to bring, and that we've been able to bring to small and medium businesses over the last year, is that help them get that first conversation about how do I start to move in this direction? And that's a really important conversation to have.
100%. Yeah. I appreciate you bringing that up. It's a tremendous commitment that we make and have a strong belief in. And I guess that's a great way to wrap up, is just to say, here at Insight, we're 100% committed to delivering Microsoft excellence for all of our customers. We're passionate about it. And there isn't a too small scenario, that we're here to help all of our customers. So with that, I guess we'll call it a wrap. Jesse, thanks again for taking the time, to talk a bit here. And I want to thank everybody else that's listening in for, your time. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you.